Hello, Aries. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, Aries, what the hell? Now, I asked several times if this is accurate, and apparently somebody needs to hear this. But just like with the reading being general, these are not going to be for everybody. But like I said, somebody apparently needs to hear this. From chakra wisdom, you pulled prey, stalked, invaded, and watched. But then from chakra wisdom, you pulled release. I think some of you are preying on yourselves right now. Now with prey, if you do have somebody that is trying to bully you and make you feel bad and blame you for their own bad behavior, now is the time for you to stand up for yourself. Absolutely. You did not attract the circumstances you find yourself within. And what that means to me is when it comes to other people, we can't control what they do. And sometimes there are wild cards out there, right? Like you think that you are meant to come across this person's path because there's a lesson to be learned. That's not always the case. Sometimes shitty people end up in our path, and this is what you have to deal with. Now, the curse, though, is what stuck out to me, especially in terms of release and dealing with the shadow self. It says there are lies and manipulations taking place to make you accept the circumstances. You can change this and say clearly, no, this is not right and it is not for me. But it's saying do not allow yourself to be the prey of another's hunger, right? Don't refuse to help yourself and fall into patterns of victimhood. Don't give up on yourself. But like I said, with release, I have to wonder if some of you aren't doing this to yourself. This is about meeting the shadow side face on. It's about personal responsibility and releasing any kind of blame that you may be putting on yourself for a situation, or blaming yourself for attracting this kind of shit into your life. But it's about releasing the shit that you've been dwelling on as far as the past goes. Definitely, righteous anger is one of the things that comes up with this too, which absolutely, if you've got some idiot in your space that's trying to make you feel like shit. But it is like your own personal judgment day here and seeing things clearly. All right, Aries, I'm like shaking because of those two cards. All right, here we go. Here's your overall for the week. The Seven of Wands. Fucking right. Fucking right. And absolutely, no matter what you're going through, don't ever let yourself be beat down by other people. I love it. I love the fact that this is a signifier. Even if these cards aren't resonating with people, the fact that you have this here, fucking right. Stand up for yourself. Use your voice. Beat them fucking wands down. Like, hell no. This is where I stand. I'm not taking any more shit. Perfect. It's perfect. Now, in the past, there you are, the Emperor. So, as far as the Emperor being the past coming through, it's talking about you being in control of your own domain. And you like needing to pull back on that energy now. It's order and control out of chaos. But the other thing that I love about this card is you see him protecting his family and protecting what is important to him. And I think that this is definitely about you. And still like needing to take a stand here and possibly defending people within the family, looking at the Seven of Wands. But I would rather have seen that as future conditions, honestly. In the present, the Queen of Cups. So now, for some of you, you could be dealing with a water sign here, looking at the Queen of Cups. But when you're looking at her, and again, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, what I pay attention to is the personality. So this could be representing you, or it's representing what you're carrying because of a person being around you, being emotionally involved when you're looking at the Queen of Cups. This is somebody who has, emotional attachment to whatever it is that they're dealing with here. Now, you could be defending a person here, or you could be defending yourself from this person, but we'll see. And it doesn't look bad here. You know, if you're coming in with this feeling of being in control of over what is going on with your life, you know, you're still pulling on this here, but you may be dealing with a person where there's some emotional attachment, but like needing to be clear on where you stand. But then also, though, there's this feeling of needing to like defend yourself and your choices. And here you're making those choices with the Two of Wands. You could be looking to like make plans with somebody coming through, you know. And again, you are in control of your own domain. What the hell are you going to do with it, right? But why is it that you feel like you need to defend yourself or somebody else, or defend yourself from someone? You know, with the Seven of Wands. I love it in terms of the Oracle cards, but if you're looking to make plans with someone, there's something else that's like going on here. Your best path to follow, the Three of Cups. Now, as far as that goes, right, you're talking about celebration, and I like the fact that it's here because I don't have to question on whether or not this is a bad thing. This is really about you reaching out to the people who actually support the choices that you're making. You know, if you feel like you need to defend yourself, these are the people that have your back, basically. And it's like there's a need to like reach out to them so you don't feel like you're standing alone. But it's not bad. In your environment, the Ten of Wands, all right, and that may be the issue. This is either about you or the other person, but it's like they may be carrying a bunch of shit. You may be carrying all this bullshit here, but with the Ten of Wands, there's something that's, you know, really overwhelming or weighing on you, and there may be a need to like release it. You know, you may have somebody coming through that may be supporting you though too, and maybe helping you to see, you know, the best plan of action to take here. But, you know, in terms of you, it's really about like possibly here connecting with someone that's going to help you in terms of the choices that you make, but then also releasing the burdens that you've been carrying for so long, especially emotionally. Your hopes and your fears, the King of Pentacles. And I see that as you. And let me just say that the reason why I see these as you and not so much the Queen of Cups is because Aries is a masculine sign. Now, again, when it comes to court cards with general readings, for me, it's the personality that's more important. When you're looking at the King of Pentacles, you could be looking at yourself here and, you know, hoping that you can be that supportive person and like kind of give that back to somebody else, you know, or be the one that's going to stand up for somebody that may be carrying a lot of burdens and maybe reaching out for some help. Now, with the King of Pentacles too, though, you know, when it comes to hopes and fears, the question becomes dependability. Are you dependable? Can you be depended on? Especially if somebody is looking to like relieve some pressure here, you know? They may be reaching out to you. But, you know, like I said, with the King of Pentacles in terms of you, I feel more so that this is about showing the part of yourself that can be very giving. And that's the other thing that a lot of people miss about Aries. You guys will do anything to help somebody else out. And you don't do it for recognition, right? Like, I could see that more so as Leo, and not saying anything bad about Leo, right? But like Aries doesn't look for that. But, you know, like I said, it's more about dependability, not just about you, but the other person though too. But like I said, I feel like this is you coming through here and hoping that you're showing that side. So what I will say is if you're preying on yourself right now, there really needs to be like this release of, you know, the shadow self, right? Now, when you're doing shadow work, let me just say that that's not always about like the negative things about yourself. A lot of times shadow work has to do with the good parts of yourself that have been pushed down or pushed away because of conditioning and growing up and the environment that you were in. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be a bad thing, but I do think that for you, there may be some things that you really need to clear out. Now, your thoughts are like all over the place here. Fear, anxiety, overthinking things too much, especially if you're making plans because of another person who may be coming through here. They may be looking to release this burden. I think that you are the dependable one, and you're showing that to this person. There's friendship here. But the problem is, as you move into the Ace of Wands, you're freaking out about it because the Ace of Cups is connected to this. So not only is there passion, but like I said, there's an emotional connection. And the possibility here for a really beautiful beginning for you. But there's some shit that definitely needs to be cleared out. But I think that's on both sides, not just you, but the other person too. Because like I said, this could be both of you carrying a bunch of shit on your back right now and needing to release that junk. You know, and it may be a shock to you. It may be a shock to you that, you know, these good things are coming through from somebody that, you know, is like looking at you as a friend, wanting to confide in you. You know, you may be standing up for them here with the Seven of Wands. But then, you know, again, too, as far as like where you stand, it may be that you're like, look, that's great and all, but like I'm okay with just a friendship, which is another possibility. Wow, Aries. And like I said, with the Oracle cards, it's not going to be for everybody, but for those of you who are dealing with this, you will understand. It will immediately click with you, and if it doesn't, throw it away. But I will say that I do think that some Aries are preying on themselves. You know, but it's not something that can't be released, right? Because you have release sitting there. Okay, all right. And that may be why you need to retreat. And with the Hermit, right, it makes sense. Now, for those of you who are single, you need to stay optimistic about your love life. The problem is here is you may be meeting somebody that may not be in it, or you're not in it. Looking at the Four of Swords. It's like, you know, you try, but there really isn't a connection happening here with these two. You know, I don't so much feel like it's somebody trying to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. It's just that they're not feeling it. Like, I'm trying, but I can't get there. You know, and like I said, this could be you or the other person here, and this may be like a continuous thing for you. It's like you make a connection, but nothing really comes out of it because somebody ends up not feeling it, and there's a need for you to be optimistic. And definitely don't try to force. I'm so sorry, guys. Don't try to force there to be a connection, though, either. But, you know, it may have happened so many times for you that it's like, well, what the hell? Why even bother? But, you know, you're being told to stay optimistic, despite the fact that this may be, you know, what you're going through here. Now, for couples, these two absolutely make sense. Retreat and then the Hermit. Now, the thing with the Hermit, though, is, you know, he's looking to get that flame started on that candle, and you got the couple in the background, and everything's great and joyous, but it's like, you know, that's what I want. This is what I want for me. And there may be a need for you and your partner here to just kind of get away and be alone with yourselves right now to get a connection back, especially if, you know, the everyday life has been dragging the both of you down. But it's not bad. I mean, you know, it's not horrible. I feel like this is more so advice than, you know, what you're going to be dealing with again. I think you've been through this enough in terms of singles. But that damn Ace of Wands, I'm telling you, is still there for you. But I would be careful about where your thoughts are. And, you know, for some of you, there may be like major stuff that needs to be cleared out here before you can have the most of that Ace of Wands. All right, Aries, so let's just go ahead and get these two out of the way. And like I said, this is not going to be for everybody. You will know. You will know if this is meant for you. Looking at pray and release, I do think that some of you may be dealing with a really shitty person that is causing you a really hard time right now. And again, you did not attract this. And there is a need to release that here and release that blame, thinking that this is your fault that you have to deal with this person. Now, on the other hand, though, I do think that some of you may be preying on yourselves right now. And like I said, when it comes to doing shadow work, it doesn't always have to be about the negative things about yourself. But now, as far as the reading goes, I feel like this is really interesting how you come in as yourself with the Emperor, but then you're also showing as the King of Pentacles, where it's like, I think you're a light to somebody else. It's like you are stable. You represent security. You also represent dependability between these two. And it's because of that energy that I feel like you have somebody coming through that may be looking to, like, yeah, it's like they need you to defend them, but then you're also defending yourself as far as what your position is here, though. But I feel like the two of you may be confiding in each other about things that have been weighing on you with the Ten of Wands, right? I don't think that there are like burdens between you and another person, because I do think that this could be like a friendship, somebody that you are friends with that's coming through. But things change here. Now, what I feel like is you're pretty, vocal about the fact that, right, like, I'm just a friend. I'm just a friend here that may be helping out. Which, is not a bad thing. But when you look at the Two of Wands and this damn Ace of Wands that keeps showing up for you guys, it's like making plans here for a new passionate beginning. But I think that for some of you, you may be a little bit freaked out because it's also connected to the Ace of Cups here. And again, like I said, when it comes to her, there is an emotional attachment. And it may come through in a way that it's like you're friends, but there may be more of a connection. Now, that's for some of you. But, like, before you can get to this place, again, with the Tower, man, some shit needs to be cleared out. And again, if you guys are preying on yourselves, like, I can understand where that's coming through. But like I said, I feel like it's interesting with the way that you're presenting yourself. It's okay if somebody is wanting to, like, kind of lean on you as far as what they're dealing with. But like I said, for some of you, it's like, look, that's great and all, but we're just friends. Like, I'm going to support my friends. I'm going to do what's important for my friends. I don't think that you're ready for that kind of a connection if it leads to that. Now, as far as relationships go, staying optimistic. But like I said, for some of you, it's because every time you try to get something started, it's almost like somebody backs out on you, or you them, because there just isn't enough of a connection there with the Four of Swords. But I don't think that this is something that you're going to have to continuously look forward to. I think the reason why it's coming out is because for those of you who have been single and been single for a long time, it's like this is what's continuously happening. You try, but the connection just cannot be made. But there's a reason here for you to still stay optimistic. And you can't let those things that you've been through before affect how you treat every relationship that comes through. Now, as far as those of you who are in a relationship, this makes sense to me. Retreat in the Hermit, yeah, I would say so. I think that somebody in the relationship here is looking for, that flame to get going there. And there's a need for you to retreat and be alone and be by yourselves and kind of get, the feelings and the passion and the emotions getting, going again in the relationship. I don't see it as a bad thing. I almost think that for some of you, it's like the outside world just became a little bit too much. And you just need to get away and be with each other for a little while. But Aries, I do think that you may have a friend that's going to be reaching out to you. Now on the other hand, you may be defending your own family member, your own spouse here. But, I would be careful about where your thoughts are going and look at whatever negative thoughts may be surrounding a situation here and clear that shit out. I mean, seriously, with the Tower showing up again, it's got to get cleared out. Now, like I said, for some of you, it could just be a shock. But, when we're looking at the Oracle cards, though, and the Seven of Wands, fucking right. And I love it. But I don't see it as, like, hostile when you're dealing with a friendship, though. But damn it, Aries, really? How many different decks did I use and this keeps coming up for you? One of these days, I'm going to see that as the past coming through, and it's going to be like a fantastic reading, and all of you are going to be happy, damn it, one of these days.